Alright, good day class. You're welcome to Isaac Humanitarian Foundation. Yes, this e-learning platform is brought to you by Isaac Humanitarian Foundation, and I am your host for today's class, your English language instructor. My name is Mr. Kayode, Olugbola. Now for today's English class, I want to expose us to some of the basic rudiments and intricacies involved in answering English questions. And today's class is going to focus mainly on the topic special adverbials. The topic is special adverbials, meaning what? Our adverbial words. Now, what are adverbs? We all know that adverbs, generally in English, they are words which are used to modify verbs. Words that are used to modify verbs in English are called adverbs. Now, these adverbs, they modify verbs by providing circumstantial details about the verb based on the time, based on the place, based on the manner, the purpose, the reason, concession, and so on and so forth. So, when a word modifies a verb in English, that word is called what? An adverb. That's why in English, generally speaking, adverbs are said to be words that modify verbs in English. And they modify verbs by providing circumstantial details as regards the timing, the place, the manner, the reason, the condition, concession, purpose for which that verb or action exists. Now, the topic is special adverbial usage or special adverbials. Now, there are certain adverbs in English. There are certain adverbs in English that have a particular structure. They have a particular structure of usage. Meaning, there are special usage given to some adverbs in English. So, today's class, we focus on on those adverbs that have special usage and structure in a sentence. So let's see them. The first one will be your either, as well, to, and also. These four words in English, most students find their usage confusing or problematic. Why? They have a particular structure. They have a particular structure where they exist in a sentence before you can have a grammatical meaning. When you have these four words in a sentence, they have a particular place where they exist in the sentence before it can be a correct expression. Once you don't put them in that particular structure, your expression becomes erroneous or ungrammatical. So we have number one, the words either, as well, to, and and also. Now please listen carefully to the structural usage of these words. First one, either. Either as a word can be used at the end of a sentence. It can be used at the end of a sentence, that is, at the end of an expression, where you have two clauses. Where there are two clauses, in which the two clauses are both negative. Take note, either exists at the end of a sentence, where there are two clauses, and the two clauses must be negative. The first one will be negative, second one would also be negative. Then at the end, what you will use is either. We often use as well or to, and that becomes an erroneous expression. So the correct answer there would be either. That's the first one. Number two, look at as well. As well and to. As well and to, they are used interchangeably. The two words, that's as well and to, they can be used interchangeably to produce the same meaning. And those two words also, they can appear at the end of the sentence. They can appear at the end of the sentence, but condition is that there will be two clauses in the expression. The first one will will be positive, while the second clause will be what? Negative. Now, look up for either, I said there will be two clauses, and the two clauses will be negative, meaning first one negative, second one negative. But for as well and to, before they can exist in that sentence, the first clause will be what? Positive. Then you will now add a second negative clause to that first one that is what? Positive. So you have for as well and to, positive and what? Negative. Then in some expressions too, you can have what? The two clauses having what? Positive meaning. You can still use what? As well in that instance. You have positive and negative as well will come there. You have positive and negative, two will come there. Or better still, where the two clauses are also positive in meaning, you can also add what? As well or to. The last one, also can never appear at the end of the sentence. When you speak or you write and also ends your expression is an error. When you speak or you write and also ends your expression or sentence is an error. Why? Also is a word that cannot end a sentence. The two words, the other words that can end a sentence are what? Either, as well, or to. But either will end a sentence how? Where you have two clauses in which the two clauses are both what? Negative. As well and to can end a sentence where you have two clauses in which the first is positive while the second is what? Negative, or where the two clauses are both what? Positive, but also cannot function at the end of a sentence. It can only function at the middle of a sentence before the main verb. Also can only operate at the medial position of a sentence, and that will be what? Before the main verb. So with this explanation, let's look at examples from our what? Past questions to justify this. Example 1 now. Look at this. The old woman has no children and no friends dash. The old woman has no children and no friends dash. This is from a WAEC past question. Question 2. I have, she hasn't phoned and hasn't written us dash. Example 3. I have, the book is not in the locker and it is not in that cupboard dash. Example 4. You can have the burger, but you can't have the fries dash. Next, I traveled to London and I dash visited Manchester. Lastly, look at these examples on the board. They are brought out from your WAEC and JAM past questions to buttress my point on what? On the either, as well, to, and also. Or either, two clauses which are both negative, as well and to, two clauses in which first is positive while the second is what? Negative. Also can only be used at the medial position of a sentence. particularly before the main veil. Now let's check. The old woman has no children and no friends dash. Can you see? No children, negative. No friends, negative. Where you have two negative clauses, what will come at the end is what? Either. Not as well. You are bound to put as well here, but as well will not express the grammatical meaning of that sentence, which is what? Either. That is correct in that instance. So the old woman has no children and no real friends, what? Either. Number two, she hasn't phoned. She hasn't phoned and hasn't written us. Answer is what? Either. This one will still also be what? Either. Why? Hasn't. First one negative. Second one negative. So two clauses. She hasn't phoned. First clause. Second clause. She hasn't written us. Here, first clause. The old woman has no children. That's first clause. Second clause. The old woman has no friends. Take note. So when you have two clauses that are both negative, the answer is what? Either. Look at number 3. The book is not in the locker. That's negative. It's not in the locker. Negative. Second one, it is not in that cupboard. That's not negative. Negative, negative. What will come here is what? Either. Take note. The book is not in the locker and it is not in that cupboard either. You cannot use as well in that instance. Example 4. You can add the burger. Can you see? You can add the burger. That's positive. You can add the burger. Then second clause, you can't add the fries dash. You can't. Where the first clause is positive and the second is negative, what comes at the end is what? As well or to. So here, as well is the right answer. If you put either here, that is incorrect. I traveled to London and I dash visited what? Manchester. Can you see? What appears at the media position of the sentence before the main verb is usually what? Also. So here I have also. I traveled to London and I also visited what? Manchester. Look at the last one. I am going home. That's positive. I am going home. Positive. You can come with me. That's another positive. When you have two clauses that are positive, two or as well can function in that instance as well. Take note. So here I'll put word two. I am going home. You can come with me word two or as well. That's the first instance of special adverbials. Look at number 2 down. The second part. This word, another adverb. Besides. Besides. Now, besides is used in a sentence where there are two negative clauses. Besides is used in a sentence where there are two negative clauses in which the second clause is affirming the meaning of the first. The first clause is negative. Second clause is also negative. But the second one is affirming what is being expressed, meaning is supporting what is expressed by the first clause. When the second clause is negative and it affirms what is being expressed by the first clause, in that instance, what comes there is what is beside. Let's see. You have her soup is not aromatic. Her soup is not aromatic. Dash. She doesn't know how to cook. Her soup is not aromatic. Dash. She doesn't know how to cook. Can you see? The first clause is what? Her soup is not aromatic. First clause. Second one is what? She doesn't know how to cook. Where you have, this one is negative. This one is equally what? Negative. Where you have two negative clauses in which the second one is affirming what is expressed by the first clause. What comes there? What joins the two clauses will be besides. Take note. So the whole expression now would be her soup is not aromatic. Besides, she does not know how to cook. Can you see that in this instance, the second clause is an affirmation of what? The first meaning. Let's look at an example from the past question. It said, the rent is too high. The rent is too high. The rent is too high, dash. The house is not in a suitable place. The rent is too high, dash. The house is not in a suitable place. The rent is too high, dash. The house is not in a suitable place. You can see the first one, the rent is too high. Although there is no negator here. There's no negator here. What are the negators? No, not, and never. Though they are not here, but the expression itself, it has what? Negative inference. The rent is too high. What you can imply from here is that what? Is that what you can infer from here is that what? Is that the person will not want the apartment. The rent is too high. So the inference is that what? Is that it has what? Negative meaning. The house is not in a stable word. So since the two clauses are negative in meaning, what joins them? What be? Besides. So I have the rent is too high. Besides, the house is not in a suitable place. So we can make an inference from that that the speaker will not want that particular apartment, because one, if the rent is too high, you cannot afford it. Then two, the house is not in a good location. So that is the usage of what? Besides as an adverb. Now, another one, still on special adverbials. You see all this in your JAM, WAEC, and post-JAM past questions. Yes, they test them every year. And most students find it challenging to answer questions on this aspect. Why? Because they don't know rules guiding special adverbial usage in English. So with this lecture now, brought to you by Isaac Humanitarian Foundation, your understanding will be full. Next one is what? Is although. Look at this word. Although is used where you have two clauses. Here there are two clauses in which the first one is negative, second is what? Positive. Don't forget, at the beginning I said either is what? Negative. As well and two. They will take what? Positive, negative. Then the one I finished just now, that's beside, we take what? Negative. Now look at although now. Although we take what? Negative, positive. So to use although in a sentence, the first one word will be negative, while the second clause word to be positive. To use although in a sentence, there will be two clauses. And the two clauses, the first word will be negative, while the second word positive. So we can simply say that to use although in a sentence, you will add a second positive clause to the first that is already negative. Example, let's take that from your WAEC past question. Check your WAEC past question. That's WAEC 2011. WAEC 2011 question 77. You see this there? WAEC 2011 question 77. You see this? They said dash Ali did not win the election. Dash Ali did not win the election. Come on. He has continued to give scholarship to the less privileged. Dash Ali did not win the election. He has continued to give scholarship to the less privileged. Option A there, for that particular year, we have A, nevertheless. Option B, we have however. Option C, we have although. Then option D, we have despite. These are the options given that particular year. Nevertheless, However, although, despite, dash, Ali did not win the election. Look at that. This one is what? Negative. This is the first clause. And it is what? Negative. Look at the second clause. He has continued to give scholarship to the less privileged. This one is what? Positive. When you add a positive clause, when you add a second positive clause to the first clause that is negative, what you will use to join them is what? Although. So the right answer here is what? Is although. So that word. Although Ali did not win the election, he has continued to what? To give scholarship to the less what? The less privileged what? People in the society. That is WAEC 2011, number 77. Another instance of special adverbial usage is this word called despite. 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 Look at this word, despite. Another word, adverb, with a special word meaning or special word usage in English. Now, despite is used to show an action that occurs against what? One's expectation. When what happens is not expected by an individual, what you use in that instance is what? Despite. I repeat, despite is used to show an action that occurs against what? One's expectation. Meaning, what happens is not what? Expected. That thing occurs, but we do not what? Expect that it will what? Occur. When an action occurs against one's wish or expectation, what is rightly used in that instance is what? Despite. Now let's see it in a sentence. Let's see another WAEC example. Look at this WAEC example. 2013 in your past question. 2013, question 69. 2013 number 69. They said he succeeded. He succeeded. Dash the odds he faced in life. He succeeded. Dash the odds he faced in life. A. After. B. Despite. C. Even on. Then D. Besides. He succeeded. Dash the odds he faced in life. Look at it. He succeeded. Dash the odds he faced in life. Meaning, odds there makes what? Problems. This person shouldn't have what? Succeeded. Why? He has some problems. That what? He's facing. So despite his problems, he still what? Succeeded. So when an action occurs against one's expectation, what we use in that instance what we despite. So he succeeded despite the odds he faced in what? In life. Take note. That is the correct answer in that what? Instance. Look at this another example. The governor will go for second term. Dash the criticism from his opponent. The governor will go for second term. Dash the criticism from his opponent. Meaning, the governor will go for what? Second term. Despite the criticism from what? The opposition party. So it is despite that will go in what? In that instance. You cannot use beside. You cannot use although. What's the right adverb in that instance? What will be? Despite. Why? It shows what we do not expect, but what will occur. It occurs against what? One's wish. Also, in that order, we still have another one. Another special adverbial word usage, which is what? Nevertheless, this word. Nevertheless, these are adverbs that have what? Special usage in English. Although we take what? Negative and positive. Despite what we show an action that occurs against what one's wish. Besides what we show will be used where you have got two negative word clauses, in which the second clause is an affirmation of what the first clause. Now look at nevertheless. Nevertheless is used in a sentence to show an action that is forced on a person. When an action is forced on a person against his or her wish, what is rightly used is what? Nevertheless. I said, nevertheless is used in a sentence where an action is forced on a person. Where an action is forced on a person against what his or her word, her wish. Now let's see this. Look at this WAEC question. Said Musa didn't want to fetch the water for his grandfather. Dash. His mother made him do it. Musa didn't want to fetch the water for his grandfather. Dash. His mother made him do it. A. Otherwise. B. Nevertheless. C. Moreover. Then D. Look at this instance. Musa didn't want to fetch the water for his grandfather. Dash, his mother made him do it. Can you see that? His mother forced him to what? To fetch the water. When an action is imposed on a person against his or her wish, what is used in that instance to capture the meaning is what? Nevertheless. When an action occurs against one's wish, that is, we do not expect it, but it occurs against our wish, it is what? It is despite. When you have a negative clause joined with what? A second positive clause, what you use in that instance is what? Is although. But when you have the first clause being negative and the second being negative as well, what you use in that instance is what? Is besides. But for this, our right answer is what? Is nevertheless. So originally, Musa didn't want to fetch the water for his grandfather. Nevertheless, his mother made him do so. So these are the instances of what? Special adverbials in English. Yes, there are certain adverbs that have what? Special meaning, special usage in English, and special what? Structure, meaning a particular place where they can what? Function in a sentence. Once you don't give them this special what? Meaning or structure which they require, your expression amounts to what? Ungrammatical word expression. Thank you all for listening.